Hello, everybody, and welcome to APPA's Virtual Facilities Summit and today's session called Next Gen Succession Planning for Schools. Actually, I think our speaker has a different title here, but this is what we published in the program. My name is Steve Glazner. I'm APPA's Director of Knowledge Management, and I wanted to let you know that professional continuing education and AIA credits are available for today's program. If you're an AIA professional requiring a certificate, please send your request via email to my colleague Billy Zidek at billie@appa.org. All attendees are in listen-only mode, and we will use the chat feature, please, for the Q&A portion of the program, which we'll do at the end of David's session. Session evaluations for the program are available in the guidebook application. We ask that you take a few moments to share your input on all sessions that you attend. That really helps us helps our speakers hone their skills and also to help us plan our programming in the future. As a reminder, today's program is being recorded and posted to the event site within 24 hours for access to any attendee throughout until October 22. So if you've missed a program, you'll be able to go back to it. PowerPoints will be available as well. And you can come back and listen to this session as well. It is now my pleasure to welcome David Trask, National Director at ARC Facilities, a firm providing instant access to your facilities information on any mobile device. Take it away, David.
Hey, thank you, Steve, and thank you everybody for joining. So we're going to jump right in and we're going to talk about plans for tomorrow today. Let me kind of set that up for you. Is a large contingent of workers are set to retire in the next 5 years. There's industry studies that show that 40% of facilities managers are retiring in the next 5 years. Well, think about how many of your facility staff is set to retire in the next 5 years. Really put a number to that. And then think about all of that institutional knowledge that's about ready to walk out that door. That's what we're really going to put a lot of emphasis on today. But we're going to talk about some ways that you can really leverage that into a bonus for you guys to be able to train those new folks moving forward. But also, what does that mean for you today? So let's jump in. So retiring workers, again, like I just said, the problem just got worse. Now you've got folks who are furloughed and they just didn't come back. You've also got folks who were offered early retirement. I've seen that over and over again at different facilities that I've met with even during COVID. I've been on the road. I was telling Steve before the session started, I've been on the road for over a year and a half. We were traveling to clients around the country since basically April of last year. We didn't stop, but I've seen where we've gone into clients and their staff is down 3, 4, 5 people, okay, on a small staff. That's a lot. Well, think about a large staff where you've just now downsized and you've lost, half of your people, a third of your people, a quarter of your people, whether that's adjusted schedules or whatever. But retiring workers, that's a huge problem in the industry. So let's look at some of those current challenges. Well, here's a huge one. How many of you have a plan room that looks like that? Okay, I can't tell you how many times I go to a client meeting and I pull this slide up and people will jokingly say, oh, I didn't know you took a picture of my plan room. That's everywhere. Folks have this stuff all the time. The problem is, did you know that 65% of buildings still store their documents in paper, just like that, in those cubbies, crammed in there, all those different project closeouts? Well, then also nearly 1 in 3 buildings around the country is over 50 years old. 1 in 3. That's an industry stat from IFMA. Okay. Also, approximately 70% of those buildings are 20 years old. So it's a problem. Buildings, the older the buildings, the more drawing sets that get crammed into those cubbies. Each one of those cubbies may represent a building. It may represent a floor. The challenge is the handful of folks on your team that know where all that stuff is are going to retire, and they're in that group that's in that retirement age in the next 5 years. Well, what are you going to do when they leave? What are you going to do if I can't tell you how many times I go into a room, I'm on a penthouse of a building, and there's a set of drawings that's kind of tucked in the little corner over there, and that's Bob's set of drawings, because Bob's the guy that's been there forever. Okay, Bob's also the guy who's going to retire in the next year. Well, does anybody else know that they're there? And why doesn't everybody have access to those? It's a problem. Handful of folks know where that information is, but also think about how many times you guys are coming down off of a roof, or your team's coming down off of a roof to go into this plan room, grab a set of plans, look for it. They take a picture with their cell phone. They go up there and realize I took a picture of the wrong drawings. It happens all the time. I see it over and over and over again. But I've also been on site with clients where this photo that I'm showing right here, okay, there's a room right next door. Right next door. We were in this room, I was taking some photos, and then I went out to the next room, and I went out into a little hallway there. A sprinkler head popped in that room while we were there. Imagine if it was in this room. All of that stuff, the vast majority of that stuff would have been gone, trashed. That's the history of their site, the history of their campus right there. And now it's gone because a sprinkler head popped. It happens. You've got to take advantage of not only get rid of this, but also take advantage of Bob's knowledge before he leaves. So let's talk about that even more. The rising retirement rates for facilities workers combined with outdated document system creates a perfect storm. Think about that, a perfect storm. You've got the guys and gals on your team who know where everything is. They're about ready to retire, and they know where these documents are located. Are they on the share drive? Are they in the folder on their desktop? Are they, which is equally hard to find, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But those are the folks who know where stuff is. Well, they're getting ready to leave, so how's that going to help you? It's a snowball. Well, this should be a flashing warning sign for your people that early retirement ahead, danger ahead, danger, danger. Okay, because these people are about ready to leave, and all that information is going to walk out the door with them. So I've heard this over and over again where Bob knows where it is. Everybody's got a Bob, or a Carl, or a John, or a Jane, or whoever. It's that group of folks on your team that know where everything is, or that one or two people on your team that know where everything is. Well, now Bob's not answering his phone, or worse, Bob just walked into your office and said, "Listen, boss, I'm retiring in 3 months." Think about how long it's going to take you to find their replacement. How are you going to translate all that information out of Bob's head before he leaves? I can't tell you. It's mind-boggling how it's the oh crap moment where you're like, oh no. Well, now it's too late. We're going to talk about some proactive approaches where that'll help you moving forward. So the challenge was finding replacement workers for those outgoing staff is even tougher. Did you know that only a small number of colleges currently offer facilities management programs? I was actually on site at one up in North Carolina just this week, and they offer it's a full facilities management and a full trade school for HVAC, for electricians. That's the entire community college district. That's all they do. But this is staggering. IFMA predicts that 50,000 to 100,000 facilities management jobs and facilities workers jobs will be available in the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to be a vacuum. All these people are going to be, you're not going to have a labor pool to pull from. So it's important that you pull people in that you can cultivate with Bob before Bob leaves and train them up. Get everybody in and everybody on the same page. You know, and ask, are you having trouble finding employees now? I hear it all the time that we can't get people, whether it's COVID related or not. I just can't get people, and then I can't hold them when I do get them. I've seen where it takes people 6 months to get somebody hired, and then you start training them. Well, Bob, remember, I just said, Bob just gave us 3 months of notice. So the new replacement or the new people that you're hiring, they won't even have Bob. He won't be there. He'll be gone. So how many times do you think Bob's going to answer his phone after he leaves? It's a problem. So, you know, it's a compounded problem. And let's talk about that even further. So How can companies address this issue? It's called being proactive. And I'll show you some different ways that you can do that that will really help your organization moving forward. So technology is on the forefront. You have to really leverage technology. All the new people that are coming in are tech savvy. You may say, my team right now is not that tech savvy. Well, I got news for you. They've all used Zoom. They all have a smartphone. To say they're not tech savvy, the pandemic forced them to become tech savvy. These folks know how to access stuff on their phone. They're using apps in their personal life all the time to access stuff. You know, they're ordering food. You walk into a restaurant, you scan a QR code with your phone. It pulls up the menu for the restaurant. But you've got included in a lot of the new technologies that are out there, you've got AI, artificial intelligence. It's reading information and processing that information so that it's now organized and you can access that. You've got the OCR, which means it's physically reading the text that's on those drawings, reading it. That's what our company does that. But you've also got, again, I touched on QR codes. Imagine walking up to a device, you're walking up to an air handler, you walk up to your backup generator, or you walk up to, you know, I don't know, a pump, and you scan a QR code on it and it pulls up everything. You can see, you know, make, model, serial number. You can see, you know, I outsourced the service on this to XYZ. It was last service here. It's got the belt sizes. It's got the whatever. It's got the lubricant, whatever the case may be. You've got all that information by scanning a QR code now. But it also has to be mobile optimized. Everything that we do today in our personal lives, in our business lives is mobile. Everybody. Okay, everybody's got a smartphone in their pocket. I taught an education session at IFMA about a year and a half ago, and I asked the audience, raise your hands if you've got a smartphone. Everybody raises their hands. And then I say, keep your hand in the air if you've got all your information for your building, your as-built, your shutoff locations, all your O&M manuals, all on your phone. And almost every person on that phone, except for one of my clients, put their hand down. And I looked at them and I said, why the hell not? Think about that. You do everything on your phone today. I order food. I order a car to come pick me up in Lyft or Uber. And everything is on our phones. So you have to ask yourself, why can't I access all my building information on my phone the same way? You can. You can. And everybody, Bob can access it. The new person who you just hired a month ago can access it. Everybody can access the information right now. So let's take a look at what that could look like for you. So think about, I've got something going on with one of my buildings, and the animation on the left here shows I click on an app, goes to my campus, pick on the building here, and then I click on as-built map view, click on a section of the building, and it shows me all the drawings that touch that part of the building, including the most recent drawing that touched that part of that building. I just did it like this, boom, on my phone. That fast. You can do that today. Well, think about the QR code analogy, their example I used earlier. So again, same thing. Click on an app, walk up to a device, scan that QR code, and here's all the information on that piece of equipment, all of it. You've got your O&Ms, you've got your historical service records you could have linked in here. You've got all that information right there, including, you know, who's the last guy on my team that worked on it. Everything's right there, as well as photos, okay? You could access that stuff today, that fast. Well, think I've got a shutoff, or I've got something going sideways. I've got a pipe burst in my building. I need to know where the water shutoff is. Does your team know where all the shutoffs are? No, not everybody. I guarantee you. I do site walks where we physically map out every shutoff in a building. That's gas, water, power, as well as all the equipment locations. And I can't tell you how many times I walk into a room and I'll open up a door and I'll say, oh, there's an electrical panel behind this door. And the guy's like, I didn't even know that panel was there. I had no idea. I'm in this building all the time, and I didn't know that panel was there. He's never had to do anything on it. That's the problem. Why doesn't everybody know where they are? And if you miss a panel, be able to pull your phone out of your pocket and add it. As soon as you add it, everybody can see it. Everybody should be looking at the same stuff. If you notice, these are phones. Pull it out of your pocket right now. Here, pull it out of your pocket, access it, scan it, and you can access whatever the heck it is, no matter where you are. You're not always right next to the machine. You're not always at the office. You're at home. You're on your way home. How many times does your phone ring when you're on your way home because something went sideways? Now you can pull your car over, don't text and drive, pull your car over, and you can pull it up on your phone, and you can send it to somebody who's standing at your door of your building. That fast. It's as fast as you need to access it, you can access it. Let's keep going here. But again, critical building information available wherever you are all the time. You can take action immediately. You got something go sideways in your building, pull your phone out of your pocket. Give your team access to it. They can pull their phone out of their pocket and access it. It no longer exists in one guy or gal's head. I cannot stress that enough. That is one of the biggest problems in our industry is everybody knows that they can call Bob if something goes sideways. Well, Bob's not there. Or Bob wins a lottery. Bob's not coming back to work tomorrow. Think about that. But it's critical that everyone has the information at their fingertips, including your first responders, your local teams, other stakeholders. You're working with outside consultants. You're working with other firms. You can access everything right now, everything. So is your facilities team ready for the post-COVID era? Let's talk about that. And it's easing some, but let's talk about how that looks in schools too. And that's contactless access to information. So not having to go into some place to access the information. You can access it wherever you are. Also, does it meet social distancing requirements in your particular region or your particular area? Are you still going to only allow a certain number of people in a confined space where that plan room is? Okay. But you've also got the ability to avoid additional delays due to those social distancing requirements. And again, that's could be even limiting the number of contractors you have on site at a given time. There's still some of these restrictions in place that we need to really think about. And part of that is mobile access, remote access to that information wherever you are. So technology should enable new employees to access the legacy information as effortlessly as Bob or anybody else on your team. I cannot stress this enough. No matter who it is on your team, I don't care if you're on a roof, I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, your phone rings at home, everybody should be looking at the same stuff and have access to it. But any solution you go with should provide instant access to that information wherever you are. That's your entire team. Also store all that information in one spot, all your drawing sets, your historical legacy drawings for your building, all the warranties, emergency plans, all your shutoff locations, equipment locations, all of that information should be in one spot, right here. It's all right here. Everybody should be able to access it wherever they are, but also it eliminates the endless trips back and forth to a plan room or even down off the roof and you have to go sit at a desktop computer someplace at a desk, and then you have to go back up to the roof, or you have to go back into the basement, or you have to go back to the mechanical room, wherever. Or worse, I just now had to get in my car and drive over to the other spot. Or I had to get in the golf cart and drive clear across campus to try and find something because Bob didn't answer his phone. Bob's on PTO today, or he's out sick. Again, everybody is bouncing all over the place trying to do your job today. Looking for information to do your job shouldn't be something you have to do and waste all that time. Think about how many work orders you can get done, how many more you can get done, how fast can you react to things because you're not having to go dig for stuff. It also, on average, saves between 2 to 3 hours a day looking for information. And again, that's not just digging through the paper, filing, or going through my desktop and searching. It's not just that. I just had to drive over there, or I'm waiting for somebody to get back to me and I'm standing there because I can't get an answer from Bob or my contractor or whatever. It's just a time suck. You shouldn't be digging for information to do your job and have your team do your job. Okay. All available through mobile. All of it should be mobile. Mobile first. You have to have access to your information wherever the heck you are. That's the key. So let's talk about a little bit about succession planning it's more than just employing the right people. It's also about employing the right technologies. Your technology investment goes hand in hand with succession planning when it comes to building information. It's getting that information out of that head or those heads of those handful of people and getting it into a tool, just like any other tool that you guys use and your team uses, getting it into a tool that you can use today. Well, it should encompass and it really should help with the hiring process too. Do you think that it's a bonus when someone interviews for a position at your company and they walk in and they say, and you're able to tell them, all of our information is right here on the phone, it's in an app, or it's right here and I can access it wherever I'm at. I don't have to dig for stuff. I don't have to call somebody. I don't have to go into that plan room. That's a forward-thinking company. That's a company that's going to help me do my job better if I'm that new hire. So that's a perk. That's a bonus that I'm not having to get frustrated. And I've heard from guys all the time that they'll hire somebody and they last about 3 months because they're having to dig through that plan room because they can't find anything, or they're having to call Bob 50 times a day because he's not taking the time to show him where anything is. It's a problem. No, everybody should be looking at the same stuff. Everybody should have access to it, not just a handful of folks, everybody. But then also, if you enable the right technologies, those new employees can quickly respond to emergencies. Think about the new person that you hired that's now on second shift. How many times has your phone rang because something went sideways at, 11 o'clock, 1 in the morning? I work with a lot of schools around the country. Things break at all hours. They don't just break at, 1 in the afternoon. They break whenever they break. So having the ability to put it into either my night folks, even your custodial staff, or it could be security. Everybody should be able to access this information. Everybody should be able to respond, still call you. I'm sure they're still going to call you, but they should be able to access that information wherever the heck they are. And then they can also make some educated decisions with those first responders who just rolled up because you've got a flood that's just boiling, coming out the front door of your building. It happens. So now we're going to talk about make the transition from the old to the new simple and efficient. You can go from months and months of training. Sometimes it's a year of training, but you can also bring that down to weeks, to days. You can pull that time, shorten that time frame, but by giving everybody instant access to the building information. That also brings the new team members, they can focus on learning core competencies from Bob and Jane or Carl on your team that knows where everything is. They can spend that quality time and really do site walks with them, and they can show them the stuff that they only know, not digging through the documents trying to find that. But also, when they do identify that thing or those things, those special areas where they got to go to find that one shutoff. I'll give you an example. I was just on site a couple of weeks ago in a hospital, and they had a water leak, and no one knew where this shutoff was, had no idea. So what happened was they called the one guy, his name's not Bob, but they called the Bob on their team, and he's like, I don't think we have any drawings that show anywhere where that is, but he's been there for 30 plus years. He said, I think it's over on the southeast corner of the building over there, but I don't think it's marked. And as a matter of fact, I think we actually covered it up with mulch the last time we did the landscaping. So let's go over there. Sure enough, they go over there, they start digging. It's 2.5 feet down. Not marked, nothing. Okay? Think about that. One guy knew where that was. One guy in the entire building. One guy knew where that was. So why can't everybody know where that is? They can pull their phone out of their pocket, document it's right here, take photos of it, attach the photos to that pin that shows exactly where it is on that floor plan. Everybody can now access that information, all of them, whether it happens in the morning or in the middle of the night. Everybody knows where that is and they can react. So here are some of the key elements of effective succession planning, and it 100% is scan and digitize all of that information. Get it organized, scan it in, get it organized, and everybody can access that information wherever the heck they are. But once they get that information organized, choose a platform that's user-friendly. How many times have you installed something with your org and said, you know, if it's not easy, my guys aren't going to use it? Well, it's the truth. It should be easy. It shouldn't be harder for them to find information. It should be pull your phone out of your pocket and access in a couple of clicks or just swipes of my finger. That's it. User-friendly. But mobile is critical for that efficiency. I was working with a client just this week, and again, it's accessing that information quickly. I was actually identifying, my team was identifying where equipment locations were on a roof, and this roof had probably 50 to 100 pieces of equipment on this roof. And there were, you know, exhaust fans, there were a bunch of AHUs, there were some mini splits that were up on this roof. And again, if you're the new person, you climb up on that roof because somebody called and said something's not, you know, cooling in a particular room. You go up on that roof and you see all those pieces of equipment. I have no idea which one's which. So what we were doing is identifying where they were, pinning them, and then attaching that QR code. Well, the client that was walking with me, he didn't even have our app or anything on his phone yet, but he walked up to it, scanned the QR code, again, just like you do in a restaurant, and pulled up the information I just added real time. I added it 2 seconds before he scanned it. And he goes, holy crap. So my new guy could do that. Yes. So my outside consultant that I hired to come up there and service that could do that. Yes. Everybody can access it. And they can also, if they have rights, if they have permissions, the right permissions, they can also add additional notes to it. So it's a living, breathing thing. As you find stuff or you change stuff, you can add additional information. It's not static. The paper in your plan room is static. It's not changing unless somebody breaks out a red pen and starts marking on it. Well, great. What good is that going to do me? I'm on the roof. It's a problem. Maintain a single source of truth. All of it should be in one spot. All of it should be right there, one spot. Everybody can access that information. Hire tech-savvy employees. Again, the newer folks that are coming up, the younger folks that are coming up, they're tech-savvy. They use it all the time. Rethink how this is a benefit for your company. Think about that. Remember what I was saying about the hiring of new people. Point that out. Listen, we're an innovative company. We're a forward-thinking company. We're a forward-thinking organization. And we do this because we want to get you the information that's going to maximize what you can do every single day and find and not be frustrated trying to find information and dig through stuff or call somebody else that knows where it is. No, we want to put this tool in your hands so it helps you do your job. How's that? That's a benefit. That's a perk. A lot of companies don't have that. Why not? So what's the path forward? Well, it's a combination of the retiring workforce, all those folks that are about ready to retire, and a talent shortage. Remember, how many jobs did IFMA say? It was between 50 and 100,000 are going to be opened up in the next 4, 5, whatever years. That's a changing of the times in facilities. But what that really does is you have to plan strategically and employ the right technologies. Employ the right technologies. Employ stuff that everybody can use. It's simple and all your team can access it when the heck it counts. Now, you also need to be able to access that stuff offline. Okay, I didn't touch on that, but that's something that's important too. Power goes out. I live in Florida. Power goes out in my house. I still should be able to access everything that I need to go, turn something off or whatever. Well, campus, that's a great example, but that we get storms here all the time. Well, think about your area. Think about the things that happen to you. Access to that information. That's key. So I'm going to pass it back to Steve. Let's get some questions from some folks.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate that. That was a very energetic talk and really timely too, because when you think about it's all in the news about everyone is looking to to fill positions, and folks aren't, and there are a lot of folks out of work. So I don't know,
Right.
How that fits into this necessarily, but it definitely, but just the whole aging piece. We did an APPA membership survey in the spring, and found that our demographics are still definitely on the older, 45 and older, 50 and older range for our membership. So so it's important to think about the issues that you brought up. Ivory, I know you had a question. You put it in the chat. Why don't you just open it up and ask the question that you were mentioning, if that's okay, if you don't mind, or I could read it, whichever you prefer.
Yeah. What I was saying was that the key is to bridge the gap with the Bobs and the new generation that's technological savvy, because sometimes looking at the data, it's showing something that unless you have back knowledge, you won't understand where it's coming from.
100%. 100%. Yep.
I think we're failing to bridge that gap right now, because we're seeing it all around with the people with experience return, and we haven't had that gap to fill in with the new generation to connect the two. So the Bob can explain what this reading may mean versus the textbook example of, okay, this is what this is supposed to be. But really, this building was built this way, so the numbers may read, so.
Well, and I appreciate you sharing that too, because you're 100% spot on. I mean, how many times are you popping a ceiling tile, or your team's popping ceiling tiles because they're trying to find a shutoff and they're literally tracing lines, and they're trying to find them, and then they realize, well, no, it's the floor below or it's the floor above. That's where the shutoff is for this zone. You should be able to pull your phone out of your pocket and not just take photos of what you uncovered, but draw the lines on there. Physically draw the lines. It goes down this hallway, it goes over here, and this, and this riser over here, and boom, there it is. It should be real time, so that you're, again, it's only as good as the information and the tool that you put in somebody's hands to be able to capture that information. That's the key. Thank you for that. That was great.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Because some of the data isn't current in the system. So there are places where we're looking at what's in the system and it's not matching up with what we're seeing because it didn't transfer, but you have the Bobs that say, oh yeah, that is such and such. So we're trying to bridge that gap to make sure we keep the data current versus,
Very good.
Well, and I can't tell you how many times, how many times do you find something like that? And even after you find it, you don't document it, or there's no way to document it. And then, 6 months goes by, or a year goes by, or 2 years goes by, and something else happens. And you're like, oh, where was that? There we go.
We've got a couple more questions that I can throw out there, David. Angela Meyer asked, what applications are the best in terms of this? Now, you obviously have one that you've been talking about from ARC Facilities, but what others are you seeing out there in the profession, in the facilities world, that folks might be interested in pursuing?
Yeah, well, keep in mind, everybody uses a CMMS. Everybody's got some kind of a work order management system. The challenge with both is, and let me kind of put it to you this way. The way I operate is, I've got my phone, I've got my preferred apps on the screen, and I might have one for a CMMS. I might have one for my construction software. I might have one for, like our solution for the facilities team and emergency management team has access to this one. The days of having to have everything that does all inclusive in one particular thing isn't the case anymore. It's just not the way it goes. And not, if a company's trying to do everything all at once, like do the work orders, do the PM scheduling, do all of that stuff, and manage all the documentation, that's not what they do. That's not what they're supposed to do. They're meant to tell your team something broke or something's scheduled to be fixed. So again, what I would recommend is look at your CMMSs, look at any project software that you're using, look at our solutions kind of, not kind of, it is, we're the only ones that do what we do, but look at things that also will allow you to collaborate. So identifying what am I going to use this for? Not try to put everything in one bucket necessarily. It can be really overwhelming and it can be costly for a lot of companies when you ask, especially for special development of stuff. Some of the CMMS systems that I've seen, everybody knows School Dude and I know there's Accruent's got some different stuff for that type of the work order systems. We're a document management company. That's what we do. But we also identify and do site surveys for identifying where equipment is. There's construction management software like SkySite's one. There's Procore and a few others. So you really just need to, again, identify what are some of those gaps, like Ivory had mentioned. What are the gaps that you're not filling with the current systems, and ask yourself, well, why not? And what are some of the things that I need to really do to fill those gaps for my team? I mean, there's oh my gosh, there's hundreds of CMMS systems out there. There's hundreds of other applications. I mean, it really just kind of depends on what you want. I wish I could answer more specific, Angela, but we can talk offline about that too.
Thanks, David. We have a couple of questions specific to the ARC Facilities app. One is, how is the best way to find out how the ARC Facilities system works? What platform does it work on, I guess? And are the floor plans that the docs are attached to, are they CAD, PDF, GIS, static, dynamic?
Yeah. The easiest way I would say is just reach out to our org. It's the email that you see there, the phone number, schedule a time. We can show you what our system does. Most of the documents, the large format plans, I should say, are PDFs, but they're dynamic PDFs. So they're all OCR'd. Our company actually has patented software where our system actually OCRs the large format sheets, and we pick up the text on the large format sheets, even including the detail call out bullets, all the text within those. But again, what that means for you is now everything's searchable. So if I want to search for a specific thing on a particular plan sheet, or I want to search for a specific discipline, or I want to search for specifics within a building, because you got to have unique things like what's the building, what's the floor, all of that stuff that's picked up in the OCR as well.
Okay. Tony asks, when you say, can you physically write on the mobile phone? Does your product actually allow you to do that with a stylus, I'm assuming?
Yes. Yeah, you have a full suite of markup tools that allows you to do, you can even do quick takeoffs for measurements. You could do markups. You could put annotations on there. You can add additional notes, additional pins, identifying a location of something, create custom pins that show that, and then you can attach your own photos or whatever notes that you want specific for you. Okay. One of my clients is actually up in the Northeast, is a professional baseball team. They actually, at their stadium, identified all the hand sanitizer locations throughout the entire stadium. They identified all of the different jacks in the wall at all. They did that after we left, but they're figuring out other unique ways that they can use it that helps their team know which bladder they need for that hand sanitizer station that's behind the Green Monster.
So it's more than just a room. You can get very specific into products even. And
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Raj asks, are the docs searchable on ARC? If I'm looking for room 201, for example, can it zoom to that room in the PDF?
100%. Yeah, and all the PDFs are all optimized so that when you do zoom in, you can see the specific area, and it's really good. And it's also print quality still. So when we scan the documents in, our company is nationwide. We have 150 service centers in the U.S. So we are where you are. We're close to where you are. But when we scan those documents in, it's purposeful that they are scanned at a high enough resolution that they can still be print quality, but then they're also optimized so that you can open them up quickly on your phone. I can sync my entire campus on my phone. I do this for schools around the country where they put the entire campus or all their campus buildings all on their phone. I just did this up in North Carolina. I was telling Steve, I just flew back from North Carolina doing an install this week.
David, I want to ask you, so when you're working with a campus, for instance, a college, university, or school, and you've mentioned that it's, why not make it open to everybody? How far does that go for in a, say, an institution? I mean, do you have certain not products, but certain doorways, I guess, pathways that that the public can see versus what the staff can see?
Yeah, traditionally, you're not going to make this accessible to the public per se. Like, you're not going to make this accessible to all the students, for instance. But you're going to have this, it might be to your, typically where we see it is it's your facilities team, it's your security folks, it'll be your, in some cases, it'll be your environmental group. But then you also will be able to give access to your local first responders. We just did an APPA webinar last week with a school district up in Connecticut, and he actually pulls in the local first responders into their emergency meetings, and he gives all of them access to their information too, so they can access all those shutoffs too. So you really got to kind of figure out who you want to have access to that information, but that's the standards that we see.
Tony, I don't know if I answered if David answered your question. You said, do you scan those documents in the plans room and then place it on your software? Do you do it right there?
Yeah. Well, traditionally what we do is we'll pick it up, we back a truck up to your office, we bag everything up, not QR, I'm sorry, we barcode everything so that you will always have access to your documents even when we take them off site. We take them to our local scan center, we scan those, but if you call me a day after we pick up and say, hey, because I'll give you an inventory list of what we picked up. You'll say, I need all the documents for, building 102, then we'll pull the bag that has building 102's plans and I'm either scan those immediately and send you raw scans, or we'll just deliver them back to you and then we'll come pick them back up, whatever makes sense for you, because sometimes you just want the hard copies right back.
Yeah, and I'm assuming they just archive those primarily, or
exactly what we oftentimes. Well, it's funny you say. I've got folks that will have us deliver them back in bags, or some folks will just keep them for 6 months, then they're in a recycle bin. It just really depends on what you want to do and what your plan is. But our goal is that you don't need those anymore. They're all digital. So once they're digital, you don't need to go backwards. As a matter of fact, all the new stuff that comes in, well, with our solution anyway, any new project closeouts, they're automatically added in. So you get that digital thumb drive, or you get that CD or DVD, you upload it to the site and it's automatically added. You don't have to do any of the updating. It's automatically in there.
Are there any other questions from the audience, from the attendees here on how to use mobile tools to recycle? Yes, Tony, why don't you go ahead and speak?
Yes, thank you, Steve. What kind of, how do you make sure, let's say, I have a brand new building that that's all digital, and then will you give us the certain columns that you want in order to go ahead and map all of this to your system, so that we can, tell the contractors and the general contractor, this is what we want with all of our information. I just making sure that everything matches and syncs up with yours.
Yeah, 100%. So what we do, Tony, is, and let me kind of explain how, from a 30,000 foot view, how we do the mapping too, and then I'll explain to you how we get that. We'll explain to you what the deliverable back from your contractor should be to you, so it'll easily just plug in. Okay. Number one is when we pick up all those drawings, keep in mind, in those cubbies that we showed those pictures of, where it's got all those different drawing sets crammed in, those are closeouts. Those are as-built from different projects. The problem is When you get a renovation done on half your building, they're not giving you the rest of the building. They're just giving you the section of the building that they did the renovation on.
Right.
Well, now you've got all these different puzzle pieces all over the place. What our system does, it gives you two views. One, we list all the different projects in there. It's called an as-built list view. So it's by date and then the project name, and it's just a running list. So you can click on any of those. If you click on a plan set, it opens up the plan set to the sheet index, or the cover sheet. You can click on any sheet in that index and it jumps to that sheet. All the detail callouts, you click on a detail, it jumps to the detail. So think about going through all those different paper plans. No more. It's literally pushing a button. Whether you're on your desktop computer or you're on your phone, you can access it from a browser as well. The second part is we do what's called our as-built map view, and it takes all those drawing sets, all those pieces and parts, floor by floor, and it actually layers them on top and shows you this is the renovation. You can click on that renovation, it jumps right to that renovation.
Mhm.
And then all the other renovations below that, you can jump on all those. Now, the closeout at the end of any new project, when I was saying all the future renovations are included, when that new renovation is done, you just ask them for a clean set of as-built PDFs. That's all you need. You send that over, just a full set. We upload it into the system and done.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
David, can you deal with 20-plus-year-old documents?
100%. I cannot tell you how many times I pick up old blue lines. I pick up old Mylars that are just shredded. We are document experts. We are the biggest blueprinter in the world. We're publicly traded. We deal with plan sets all the time, whether they're shredded old stuff where we put them on a flatbed with a cover sheet and slide them through the flatbed scanner, or we put them around our drums and scan them that way. Whatever you've got, we do it. All in-house.
Limitation on the size at present?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Do you put O&M specs in as well, or just drawings?
No, we do. We do O&M. So we scan the manuals in there, put the manuals in there with a button that says O&Ms per building. So they're separated out by building. We can also extract out the warranties, put those in there. Traditionally, specs, we can drop those into a folder as well that's linked in there. You can have all of that information all in one spot. Yeah.
Okay, good. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Got a few minutes left. If you have anything else you'd like to add or question or talk about. Tony, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be really quick. I just wanted to know, sometimes, things are in Bluebeam, and sometimes they're, in all these other different types of systems, and it's so expensive to go ahead and try to, to have a software so that you can view these. What if they're not in PDF and we only have them, in AutoCAD or things like that? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, they can be converted. We've got some teams that can convert those in-house, and it just really depends. The challenge with trying to convert them sometimes, I won't say all the time, sometimes, is pieces and parts are missing to do the conversion because they're set up by your designer. Sometimes we're missing some things, so again, we'd have to double check that. But most of the time, we can convert those as well.
What about ones that are in BIM?
Oh yeah, those can be converted as well.
Thank you.
BIM models, yep. Mm-hmm.
So the conversion, I mean, just to follow up on that, do you have connections or portals? I guess it's not interfaces is the word I'm looking for with other systems.
We do. Here's the challenge with that. There are so many different systems out there. We're an open source, so we want to connect to anybody. The challenge is many of the other systems that are out there aren't. They're closed. So it really depends on the other side. Typically, is if they are, then we can connect with them. We have open APIs. So, we share that information. We have the ability to share that information. It's just whether or not they'll reciprocate.
Great. Thank you. Well, David, I think that exhausts the questions from the group. We had some very helpful and interesting questions here from everybody. David, thank you very much for your time today and presenting your information to our group. I just wanted to remind everybody that that this is recorded. This is being recorded. It'll be posted within the next day or two to the site, and you'll all get a link to go through not only this but other sessions from the conference. And invite you to complete the session evaluation on the guidebook app too. Someone asked about the AIA code, and that's available from my colleague Billy Zidek. So write to Billy, BILLIE at APPA.org, and she will help you with the AIA code or any other continuing education credits that you want to accrue from this session. Thank you again, and everyone have a great day. Remember, we have a full day of sessions tomorrow, as well as one more period this afternoon. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.